Hey guys, what's up? It's JR Cuber, and in this video we have another unboxing from thecubicle.com. In here we have some Mystic puzzles, which I'm very excited about because I really like the Mystic lube, and so I'm excited to see what this new line of Cubicle Premium puzzles will be like. So let's go ahead and open it up. Okay, so these are the puzzles. It says these are for one really popular person. So yeah, so the four cubes we have in here are the Mystic GTS3M, the Mystic Weilong WRM, the Mystic Aochuang GTS2M, and the Mystic Aochuang GTSM. So I'm really excited for this because two of these, this 4x4 and this 5x5, I've never tried before. I don't have them. So this will be my first impression of the puzzles, and they've already been set up in this way. But let's go ahead and start with the GTS3M. So in here you get the puzzle, you get some of the adjustment tools, and a stand. But we're just going to go ahead and move right on to the puzzle. And here it is. It's got this very nice looking logo on the green side, which is awesome. Green's my favorite color. Makes sense to put it on green because it's an aloe-based lubricant. So the GTS3 is my main right now, so I'm pretty excited to see how this one stacks up because I have a Cubicle custom one that I'm using as my main. So let's go ahead and do some turning. Wow, this feels like really different from my main, probably because it's not broken in that well. Yeah, this has a completely different sound and quite a different feeling. It's not entirely different. It still feels like a GTS3, but the feeling is definitely different. So just to compare the sound, here is my main GTS3. So that sounds much louder, much harsher. And then this, it's a much more subdued sound, and it really feels pretty much just like it sounds. So it's not quite as fast. It's almost as fast, but not quite as fast. And it feels definitely a bit more smooth and swishy, kind of. It's not quite as harsh and crunchy. So this Mystic GTS3M goes for $42. It's lubed with a mixture of stuff, so it's got Traxxas 10K, D&M, and Mystic. And yeah, I can definitely feel the Mystic lube in there. It definitely gives it quite a soft feeling. Yeah, I mean, this honestly almost feels like the plastic on this is a little bit softer, even though I know it's the same puzzle, but that's kind of the effect that the lubricant has. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this GTS3. I'm excited to solve with it and see if I can get similar times as I can on my main. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Weilong WRM. In here we get another stand, more adjustment hardware. It looks like we get more stuff in here, and then the cube. Okay, so here is the WRM. So let's just go ahead and jump right into turning on this one. Wow, this one feels really nice as well. This one feels definitely a bit more buttery and silky smooth than the GTS3M, but that does make sense since that's basically how this cube relates to the GTS3 anyway. But yeah, I really like the feel on this one. This one feels great. Again, it does need to be broken in a little bit. It's kind of slow right now, and with the weak magnets, it's definitely not helping the situation at all. But I do really like the feeling. It's very quiet, and already I think I prefer this one to the WRM that I set up myself. So this is lubricated with the same lubricants, and this one is $48. So yeah, this one feels extremely soft. Like, it just has a very plush feeling, kind of, which is what Mystic really does. It does provide that kind of feeling. And the turns just seem to glide really well. Even though it's not that fast, it just feels really stable and controllable. So that might be a feel that you're going for, but I have a feeling this will speed up a considerable amount with break-in. But yeah, out of the box, really liking this Mystic WRM. All right, now let's move on to the GTS2M, which is a puzzle that I've never tried before, so this will be my first impression of it. I'm not sure if this will be entirely an accurate first impression because of the lubricant setup. Usually I like to do first impressions of cubes straight out of the box, but I guess we'll be able to just jump in immediately to how a setup version of the puzzle feels. All right, so here it is. I pretty much only vaguely remember the original Aochuang GTS, but I do remember it just not being that great. I didn't do a review on it, and the Wuchui always just seemed better to me. So we'll see how this cube stacks up to the Wuchui. Let's go ahead and check it out. Whoa, that feels really nice. Yeah, the inner layers definitely are considerably slower, so I'm hoping that they'll speed up with break-in because they feel a little bit more unstable. But the outers feel amazing. They have like a slight swishiness to them, like ever so slightly sandy, but not sandy in like a dry way, but like when you lubricate a sandy cube, it becomes more swishy feeling, and that's kind of what this feels like. Those inner layers do feel kind of rough. They don't totally match the outer layers, which is something that I really liked about the Wuchui. Overall, I am really liking this. I think it's got potential. It's just the Wuchui feeling to me is so iconic, and I like it so much that I don't know if I'm going to be able to switch. I guess we'll just have to see if my times are comparable, but I'm just so used to the way that cube feels. But I am really liking the outers on this one. It's just the inners for a 4x4, if the inners on a 4x4 are bad, that can really kill the whole experience. And I'm just not sure how I feel about the inners on this cube. I don't think it quite has to do with the magnet strength. Maybe it's something to do with the tension. I don't know. But I'm excited to solve with this a bit more, break it in, and just see how it is after break-in. Okay, now on to the Mystic Aochuang GTSM. So the Aochuang is one of Moyu's oldest 5x5s. I think it might have been their first one, if I'm remembering right. It's been a long time. So this is kind of an update to that puzzle, I'm pretty sure. And again, I've never tried this. I'm still using a Wuchuang, so I'm excited to try something new. This definitely has a similar look to that puzzle. I remember it having this very bubbly outward appearance. So let's go ahead and check it out. Whoa, yeah, this definitely feels kind of gummy straight out of the box. It feels like it might be just a tiny bit over lubricated, but again, a lot of these setup cubes do feel pretty gummy out of the box, and eventually it starts to go away as you break it in. But yeah, the turning is really nice. Again, it's very smooth and it's very quiet. Mystic is really good at making cubes quieter, and this is definitely quite a quiet puzzle. But yeah, again, kind of a swishy, very cushiony type of feel, which I really, really like. It's got a nice feeling. I don't know, the Wuchuang is a pretty crunchy, harsh feeling, which I do like for 5x5, so it'll be interesting to see how this stacks up, because it feels very pillowy and just kind of loose and flowy and stuff. It's not quite as harsh and sharp. The turns don't feel quite as defined in that way, and that can make a difference. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, kind of how that performs and solves, because to me, I kind of like that feeling because it makes it feel more stable. But this does seem a lot faster than my 5x5, so that's really good. So this is definitely a contender for my main right now, so it'll be interesting to see how much better it gets through break-in. So all four of these puzzles I'm really liking out of the box. I think this Mystic line is going to be very successful. All these cubes feel pretty much usable out of the box. It feels like they're not going to require that much break-in. So I'm going to go ahead and come back, talk about these two cubes just a little bit, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just give you guys my overall thoughts and kind of a mini review for this 4x4 and 5x5. So I'll be back shortly to let you guys know how I'm feeling about all four of these puzzles. So I've been using all four of these puzzles quite a bit over the last couple of weeks or so, and I'm going to be going over all of these puzzles individually, starting with the GTS3. So this Mystic GTS3M is definitely the nicest feeling GTS3 I have. The other ones I have are all quite rough and loud puzzles, but this Mystic version has a much more subdued and quiet sound with a very soft feeling. It still generally performs about the same as my other GTS3, but this puzzle is a little slower. I did wipe out part of the lube and reapply some D&M to speed things up a bit, which really helped, but it's still not as fast as my Cubicle Custom GTS3. I brought this cube to my last competition and used it for a couple rounds of 3x3, and I was very impressed. I actually tied my comp PB single of 8.82, which I didn't even realize till afterwards. Using the cube all day at the comp really made it a lot faster as well, and right now I'm actually totally comfortable with the speed. Everyone that tried it thought it was one of the smoothest cubes they had ever felt, and I'd have to agree with that, honestly. The more I'm using this cube, the more I'm liking it over my other GTS3. Okay, next up, the Mystic Weilong WRM. And this one is a similar story. It basically has the same performance as the regular WRM, but with an even softer, quieter turn than the normal version, and it's a little bit slower. This one is even a bit slower than the Mystic GTS3, even though I also partially relubed this one as well. But the speeds are very, very close. I'm actually quite comfortable with the speed on the WRM at this point, now that I've broken it in some more. And again, I really like how quiet and silky smooth the turns are. So compared to the normal WRM, I actually like this one a bit more. I'm still on the fence with the GTS3, but this one I definitely like more. Okay, now onto the Mystic Aochuang GTS2M. I don't have a normal version of this cube to compare this Mystic version to, so I'm just going to be reviewing it based on how this one performs. So I'll start off by saying that the outer layers are pretty fantastic. I think this puzzle might have my favorite outer layers of any 4x4, which is saying quite a lot because of how great they are on the Aochuang as well. So I'm definitely really impressed with that. On this cube, the outer layers feel pretty speedy and fluid and really smooth, of course, too. With the stronger inner layer magnets keeping the middles together, this cube really feels the most like an actual 3x3 over any other 4x4 I've tried, and my 3x3 stage times have been dropping considerably while using this cube, which is great. The inners, however, are a good amount slower and feel considerably more crunchy and harsh. And to me, this is a problem because 4x4s that have drastically different feeling inners and outers that have way different speed levels are pretty hard to get used to, for me at least. I've always said that a big reason why I've loved the Aochuang so much is that the layers are consistent in their speed and feel, which makes solving feel like a more consistent experience overall. I just don't like the feeling of switching back and forth between layers that are slower or faster than each other and feel differently from one another. Now, I think the lube setup might have something to do with this. I tried a few other Aochuang GTS2s at my last comp, and the inner layers on those were pretty much fine. I opened up this Mystic Cube and saw that there was a lot of lube in the inner layers, so I tried wiping some of it off and reassembling. At first, it didn't seem to have much of an effect, but with some more break-in, it finally started to get a bit faster. I'm still not totally happy with the inner layer speed, but it definitely seems like it's getting there. So overall, I think maybe with some more break-in, the middles will probably get faster. I've only done around 150 solves so far, and it did take a long time for my Aochuang to fully break in. So I think I'll keep using this cube a while longer and see if there's any improvement. But as for the first couple weeks or so of use, I'm somewhat disappointed in the performance, even though the outer layers are the best. Okay, final puzzle, the Aochuang GTSM. Another puzzle that I've never reviewed previously, so this Mystic version was my first impression of the puzzle. And at first, it was just way too slow. I liked the feeling a lot though, and after not a whole lot of break-in, maybe 50 solves or so, the cube really started to speed up, and it finally became faster than my main Aochuang, which is great. The puzzle has a very bubbly outward appearance, and I actually dug out my old original Aochuang to compare it with, and they look really similar, which is pretty cool. The turning, like all of the Mystic puzzles, is really quiet and silky smooth, although this one also feels particularly swishy, which I really like. The inner and outer layers also feel very consistent, and I really like how stable the inner layers feel. Corner cutting is also on point, and the cube doesn't feel particularly catchy. I've also never experienced one of those horrible 5x5 lockups yet, which is great too. The puzzle doesn't feel quite as sturdy and stable as my Aochuang, which is definitely a drawback, but it's not a big enough deal to make me not want to use the cube. I'm just really glad that there was one puzzle in here that I didn't have to do any further tinkering with. I just broke it in a bit and it performed really well. After also using this cube at my last comp, I'm pretty comfortable calling it my main. I just really love the quiet, soft turning, which I've just never really experienced on a 5x5 in the same way as I have with this puzzle. So overall, I think the Mystic puzzles are good cubes. It's just a bit disappointing to me that they required further setup to really start being usable. Maybe just all of my cubes happen to be over lubed, but I think in general it would be a good thing to be aware of. Some people like their cubes that way, however, so I'm sure it's possible that you'll love these cubes right out of the box, and I think it's a good idea from the cubicle's perspective to err on the side of over lubing rather than under lubing, because it's not like it's some huge burden to have to wipe some of the lube out, but if the puzzle is under-lubed, that could definitely be a problem. Over time though, I'm really growing to love these puzzles, especially the GTS3 and the Aochuang, and I've never felt cubes with this kind of consistent silkiness and smoothness that the Mystic lube provides. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the Mystic puzzles. Overall, pretty great cubes. I think all of them are pretty good at this point. I just wanted you guys to be aware that they do require some more setup out of the box, I think, before they really get amazing. So just keep that in mind. But if these cubes sound at all interesting to you, definitely be sure to use the link in the description to check these puzzles out on the Cubicle. Thanks, of course, to the Cubicle for sending me these puzzles for free to review and for sponsoring the video. If you guys like this video, make sure to hit that like button, turn notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.